Been featuring WORKSHARP's sharpening supplies on the channel for years. They have so many different sharpening systems, and that's why I have so many videos on their sharpening supplies. So if you want to see something from WORKSHARP, check out my channel because I probably have a video on it, which is also why I was really excited to hear that they wanted to be a channel sponsor. So shout out to WORKSHARP for being today's video sponsor. Like I said, they have a huge arsenal, a massive arsenal of sharpening supplies. They pretty much have you covered on everything. And most of their systems have replaceable parts. So if you buy the system once, if the diamond plates wear out or the strap wears out or whatever wears out, you can just replace those parts, which is really, really awesome to know. They have everything from freehand knife sharpening systems that have angle guides built in, replaceable diamond plates, fixed angle knife sharpening supplies that has everything in the box that you're going to need to start sharpening, belt sharpeners, rolling knife sharpeners, pocket sharpeners. Like I said, they pretty much have everything. So if you want to check out some awesome sharpening supplies, check out the top of the description and hit the link to WORKSHARP. Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're going through my personal top 5 favorite Kizer models. Now, Kizer's been around for a long time. I've had Kizers and been enjoying and loving Kizers for years. I could have easily did a top 25, but we're doing a top 5 today, so let's get it started. Starting it off, we have the Kizer Militaw. Now, the Militaw is a relatively new model from them, but when it hit the scenes, it went crazy. And because it was so popular, they came out with many, many different versions. I don't know how many, like 150, I don't know. But we have a mini version and even a fixed blade version, and there's budget options of both of these. So this one's the premium one, an S45 VN with a titanium, I don't even know what you'd call this configuration, a reverse tuxedo. It's got the shred carbon fiber, titanium, titanium inlay right here. The large one here is an M390 with the red fat carbon fiber, which I love this version. I kind of wish it had a black blade, but these things are so unbelievably smooth. Now, my favorite version is the large version, so that's the one I would put into the spot. But this fixed blade, the Militaw fixed blade, is like an all-purpose, all-terrain fixed blade. You could use it for camping, you could use it for hunting, you could use it for EDC, just about anything. It's just a straightforward knife, which is really cool, and the ergonomics are amazing. Same thing with the folding knife, and look at how smooth this thing is. This thing is just unbelievably smooth, and they did a lot of things right on this with the lock bar access. The clip is great, blade shape, ergonomics, and like I said, there's so many different flavors of the Kizer Militaw. This next one's been one of my most carried Kizers of 2024, the Drop Bear. Now, the Drop Bear comes in many different versions as well. Originally, my favorite was the aluminum in 154 cm version because I just felt like it was the most premium feeling, even though it was their budget model. But they recently came out with a inset liner version that's thinner. So this one with the fat carbon fiber and S45 VN blade has liners that are exposed, as you can see. The new version has inset liners, so you can't see them, making it much slimmer. And you can really feel that. And the blade's thinner and slicier. So my new version is the thinner option. I really like this one. It just, in my opinion, it's so much more lightweight. It's more slicey and more ergonomic. And they always do little holiday models, so I figured I'd bust this out since we are close to the holidays when I'm filming this. So if you guys want to check any of those out, everything will be linked down in the description. But as far as, my favorite Drop Bears, I like them all because there are so many different versions. I got pretty much every single one of them. And one thing I love about them is the clutch lock. So they did a phenomenal job with their clutch lock. Their clutch lock is a crossbar lock that is not only very strong, but theirs has the ability to be tuned. So you can tune the detent stronger or weaker, and they give you an extra set of Omega springs, and all you got to do is you can set it right there. There's different spots you can set the strength of the Omega springs, and then the blade and the handle just complement each other very well. This is basically a drop point blade, but it has a spear pointish look, you know, with the tip. It's basically a low tip spear point blade. And, you know, when you have it in hand, this is very intuitive to use. So just being a phenomenal shaped knife, you know, on top of its action, and then the fact that they have so many different options to choose from is amazing. So the Drop Bear is definitely one of my favorites. I even recently gave one of the aluminum ones in 154 to one of my uncles, which that's a huge statement right there, because I wouldn't give any of my uncles anything other than something I absolutely love. Before we move forward, I want to give some honorable mentions, because to be honest, man, I could make 100 honorable mentions. There are so many Kizers I love. Picking your favorite Kizer is difficult. Now, this is the Huntsman, and I want to give them credit for the Huntsman design, because one, they executed it so well for the designer, but the fact that they took it on, because this thing has a ton of attitude. It is obviously not going to appeal to everybody, but my goodness, is it done very well. This secondary pronounced tip is really good for opening things up. The ergonomics are just phenomenal. It's super comfortable, and the action is amazing. Next is the Sheepdog. I freaking love the Sheepdog. I've loved the Sheepdog. I've loved the Sheepdog since the original one, but they now have the new versions in the clutch lock, which they have tons of different versions, frame locks, liner locks, so many different options. But the clutch lock, like I said, nice strong locking system. And because of that ability to have a nice strong, clicky, responsive detent, it just brings up, in my opinion, the crossbar lock period. It makes it just so much better. But this is very ergonomic, very slicey. I've always called the Sheepdog like the cardboard destroyer. It's basically like a glorified utility cutter, but because it is big and full size, it does come in a lot of different sizes though, including even an XL version, which is crazy. But the regular full size one, it gives you enough blade length that you can really bear down and slice with it. So like breaking down cardboard in boxes and stuff, this thing is insane. It's like I said, cardboard destroyer. This one right here is an S35VN with the fat carbon fiber. I have a bunch of different options of this one. My favorite one's probably the aluminum one, and it is a more affordable option. But for some reason, that aluminum, their aluminum, it just feels very high quality. Now, one last one would have been in the top 5, but they didn't drop it this year. This was a prototype, or is a prototype of the Pop. So this is coming at some point. Now, a lot of people are looking at it, and I even said it in my first introduction to it, that it was their answer to the Civivi Cubit, which was a very popular model for Civivi. This is almost identical to it, but it has a flipper tab. But it even has their little bottle opener right there. I'm not sure if they actually intended it for that, or it's just because it has to be, because there was no reason otherwise. Because it doesn't go around the stopping. But the detent is done really well on this button lock action knife. They did a really good job with it, and button locks don't always do the best with flipper tabs from every company, but you know, they're doing a good job with it, you know, just like Kizer was. But this, like I said, didn't come to fruition. Aluminum handles, or it hasn't yet, I should say. Nitro V steel, and these are pretty much solid aluminum. There's a little tiny liner that runs right in the back, but awesome little model, and I can't wait for this thing to actually come out, because it is a little different than the Cubit. So if you have the Cubit, do you need this? Yeah, no, not really. I mean, but I think if you love the Cubit, then you'll probably really like this one, because it does feel quite a bit different in the hand with that flipper tab, and obviously, you know, the different deployment. So let's get to the next one that's actually on the list. Number 3 is the Mini Grouper. I freaking love this thing. One, yes, it is basically a shilling cutter, which has been a popular model, but what I love about it is they used a button compression lock, which, you know, before any company started doing it, I was screaming at companies to please do this. I'm glad Kizer was one of the companies that listened. It is an amazing lock. So it's a nice strong lock, but it offers the strength as far as detent wise as a liner lock, but it offers the strength of a compression lock. Then you have the button, so it also has the action of a button lock. phenomenal detent, basically. Great braking detent. It has incredible action, but then it also has incredible lock strength. They did a great job with it. This is their new budget version. Now, to be honest, I don't know why they should have just put the Nitro V on here. The other one is Nitro V, which I think is just a better option. This is a D2 version, but they didn't drop the price very much. So I'm going to say this just really quick, that if you're going to get one, just get the Nitro V, get the better version. Don't get the D2 version, unless they drop this down to like 40 bucks. Don't do it. It doesn't make sense. 35, 40 bucks, because D2 right now is a much more affordable steel that you can get for like 20 bucks. So it doesn't make sense, but it does have inset liners to add to the rigidity, and it does feel very solid. Great ergonomics. The blade shape is a blade shape that works extremely well for EDC. You know, the first time I got to try a shilling cutter shape, you know, I freaked out, because I was like, man, this is a blade design or a knife design that just works. Especially like for like, you know, everyday carry stuff, because you never know what you're going to run at. But the tip is always aiming at everything you're going after. You have that a little bit of belly for cutting down on flat surfaces, and then it leans forward so it traps material. So works extremely well. So the Kizer Mini Grouper is number 4. Sorry, number 3. So now we are to the top two. So what is my second favorite Kizer? My second favorite Kizer is the Megatherium. Now, the Megatherium recently returned for an exclusive or a limited edition. Sorry, a limited edition. So if you missed out on getting a Megatherium, now's your time, because there is some available. I'll have them linked down in the description. My goodness, do I love this thing. One, it is unique. It has a unique feel, a unique style, a unique everything. And this was an Isham design, which, you know, rest in peace to him. But the knife design itself, one, it has a hooked flipper. So you just, and it's not super pokey or anything. So you basically just light switch it and listen to the sound. It has a beautiful sound, a very metallic feel to it. Then you have this lock bar, which doesn't cut out right here, but it has a nice chamfer, so it's very easy to disengage. And they put the detent nice and early, so it's super easy to get past. And then you have this huge hole deployment that just lands in a spot that allows you to have a great amount of leverage. Now, the thumb flick is a little more difficult because you have that hook right there, so you have to hold a little low. You can do it, but the reverse flick is where it's at. And it, like I said, it just has a very metallic and satisfying feeling to it. Then when you grab it, the ergos are amazing. This little part that right here that thickens up just feels really good in the hand, and then you're locked in right here. Now, some people might not like being locked in right there, but this, or at least on other models, you might not like it, because I don't. I don't like it when a flipper tab pushes me down, but in this case, it locks you in. It feels like you have maximum control over this. And then for utility cuts and stuff, you can lock in right there. So the pinch grip is amazing with this thing, like, you know, opening packages and utility cuts and stuff. But then when you're slicing with it, because you feel so locked in, you feel like you could jam it into something. You feel like you have a lot of power for going down. And then if you want to, at any time, you put your middle finger right there and lock in, and now you're locked in right here. So even though you're over the flipper tab or whatever you want to call it right here, I know it's the scale too, there's no threat of you slipping up, because your middle finger is now blocking you from slipping up. So you can, you know, get very powerful cuts in. This one has a titanium frame lock. I think all of them do. Titanium mill pocket clip. And then the blade on this one is S35VN. I forget what the limited edition one is, but I believe it's in fat carbon fiber. But it is beautiful looking, and I recommend that if you like the look of it so far and everything I said, get it now before it's gone again. I wouldn't even have it on the list if it wasn't available right now, but I've been wanting this thing to come back, because, you know, it's just such an amazing design, and they executed it so well. Number one's their new model, the Hawk. The Hawk, man. Now, I love this thing, man. I can't stop flicking it. It has such an amazing detent in action, and it's because they're using a detent nub, which the detent nub makes it where it has just a more crispier breaking action, and it is still a liner lock, but that liner has that detent nub that basically, man, it has such a strong clicky detent, and then it has multi-row ceramic bearings, so it is just unbelievably smooth. Then with that nice strong detent, you have this hole deployment that allows you to really get a good thwack when you're deploying it. Flipper tab also works great whether you're push buttoning or light switching. Then the ergonomics, it's slightly contoured. These holes right here, my fingers actually can kind of fit right into, and it actually is pretty comfortable, but not that I try to, do that or anything. You can kind of hold down or hold up. But regardless of that, the holes don't bother me because of how awesome the knife is. I'm not usually a big fan of speed holes, but in this one's case, I'll make exceptions. I think they look cool because it's on this model. I like the frag pattern right there. You got the micro milling. This clip works amazing. Like, it's such a good clip. You wouldn't think it has enough ramp, but it does. It works great. This is super smooth, even in my thick jeans. Great access to that lock bar, and in order to get past the detent, if you want to hold up really high, you just got to push the liner over a little farther. Otherwise, you can hold low and then just make sure it's past the detent nub. But if you feel like you're fumbling around right there, all you do is just push in deeper because you're just not past the detent nub because it's larger. Copper backspacer, I personally like the copper accents. I'm not a big fan of like solid copper handles because they can tend to have a smell to them from the chemical reaction that happens when your oils from your hand hit copper. But when it's a small amount like this, you don't get that, but yet you'll still get the patina over time. And if I wanted to, I could do the shipwreck finish. But the blade shape on this, great for utility cuts, great for slicing. It's basically like a leaf-shaped blade shape, call it whatever shape you want. I'm gonna call it a leaf shape. It works so well, and I love how the hole deployment kind of matches the design, making it look very aggressive. So shout out to Kizer, shout out to the designer, man. They did an incredible job on this. S45VN, titanium scale, steel liner lock, titanium milled pocket clip, copper backspacer, and pivot collar. What a banger. So I just want to really quick, before we get out of here, let's look at it compared to the Megatherium because they have a little bit of little similarities just as far as like the vibe. Obviously they are very different, but you can see how big the Megatherium is. It is a big knife, but in a good way, man. It feels like a very solid big knife. But anyways, there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.